Hello, my name is Mirko Peters, and this is a special episode. It's the first episode with a guest. It's Nicholas Hayduk. Nicholas is Microsoft Business Applications MVP and also solution architect, developer, and a professional engineer. And he founded the Engineered Code Consulting. And yeah, he has also more interesting things. He has also a podcast. It's called the CRM.audio and YouTube channel. So I think, Nicholas, what can I say? Is it's so much what you're doing.
Yeah, there's a bit we do produce a bit of content on our we're, our first technical love, is Power Pages, so, most of my content is focused on that, so, yeah, over the years, every couple of years, you add a new thing to do, and, over the years, it's kinda added up a bit.
Yeah, awesome. It's power pages. It's today the topic, and yeah, I think a little bit about what is it. I have a look at this Microsoft page, and I think is it the cloud version of front page, or is it the front page for Dynamics, or is it a SharePoint page for external users? What will you say? It's the power page.
Yeah, Power Page, like, it is the one piece of the Power Platform that's really meant for external users, so, the other pieces of the Power Platform, whether, Power Apps, Canvas apps, model-driven apps, Power BI, those tools are really meant for an organization's internal users, and Power Pages is the one piece that is primarily meant for external users. Um, it used to be known by many different names, used to be known as Power Apps portals, Dynamics 365 portals, and, was actually Microsoft didn't build it originally, they actually acquired it from a company called ADX Studio. And so what it is it's a tool that lets you build web portals that talk to Dataverse. So if you have data in Dataverse within your Dynamics 365 applications that you want external people to interact with, then Power Pages is the tool for you. And the most classic use case, I think, kind of the original reason that perhaps it was built is a kind of a customer service, portal, so a help desk tickets, that sort of thing. So you can have customers log in, create their own tickets, and then kind of work back and forth with the people within Dynamics 365 customer service, and, create that ticket, you know, upload files, start that conversation, and that's kind of the classic use case for Power Pages.
Okay. Uh, this is interesting. And then you say it's a Dataverse connected. Is there any other tools I can connect, or is it really built for Dataverse?
It is extremely dependent on Dataverse, so, like, because it's essentially it's a website that people can log into, um, the content of the website, so the web pages and the files for the website are stored in Dataverse. So there's an absolute dependency requirement for Dataverse. Now, because Dataverse itself can connect to a lot of different things using, virtual tables, connectors, those types of things, you can talk to external data. You can also kind of write some code that will talk to external data systems. But for sure, the starting point is Dataverse. The best use cases are when the data is in Dataverse kind of already. But there are options to integrate with other things. There's connections to Power BI, there's connections to SharePoint, but again, Dataverse is the primary data source for Power Pages.
Okay. And what's the idea when or how can I start with Power Pages? What have I need for licensing, or how does it works?
Yeah, licensing has been a fun topic in Power Pages over the years. So, um, Power Pages is licensed uh, primarily through logged in users. So what you do is you buy packs of users. They start off as a pack of say 200, um, and then for every time a user logs in, they count as one user for that month. So depending on how many users you think are going to log in each month, you buy the appropriate number of packs. And then it's similar if you have anonymous users or unauthenticated users, it's the same thing. So there's packs of those. So essentially, yeah, you buy those license packs, and then Essentially, what you have to do is estimate how many users you think are going to come. There is a there is also a pay-as-you-go license similar with other parts of the Power Platform. It's basically double the price for pay-as-you-go, but then you're only paying for what you use. So those are kind of the two options. But again, it all comes down to how many your users are logging into your Power Pages site every month. That's the key metric in terms of licensing.
And is there any best practice to start as company with Power Pages?
Um, in terms of licensing,
Uh, or
or just
or I think, when you make a plan for I think a little bit it sounds external user sounds for me a little bit like, governance, a nightmare.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, typically, a Power Pages project is not the first thing an organization does when they're going to the Power Platform. It's often at least kind of phase 2, phase 3, so they're getting their Dataverse environment up, often as a Dynamics 365 environment, so they're using sales or customer service, one of those Dynamics 365 customer engagement modules. And then what they're doing is they're adding Power Pages to it. So it's kind of nice sometimes to have your your Dataverse all figured out, and then you're kind of attaching Power Pages to it. So that's definitely the most common approach, I would say. Um, what makes it, again, because it's external users, what makes it a bit, a bit unique is that when people log into a Power Pages site, you're not restricted to Entra ID or old Azure AD. So you can have there's all sorts of different authentication mechanisms you can use to log in. You can hook in Entra external ID, but you can include all sorts of social providers. You can use, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, all those different authentication providers. And so that makes it a bit unique in the Power Platform as well, is that you're dealing with this other types of logins. So that's something that you really need to think about at the very beginning of the project. How are people going to log in? How are we going to manage those usernames and passwords, that sort of thing.
Then there are users in I found then the users in Dataverse as a data set, not an Entra or something else on in my tenant.
Exactly. What they are is they're stored as contacts in Dataverse. So
Okay.
the people logging into a Power Pages site are contacts in Dataverse.
In the right management, I say, okay, I give this, I don't know, emails, allow to log in the portal. That's how it works.
Yeah, essentially, your contact is associated with there's another table in Dataverse that associates it with the identity that they're using to log in. So if they're using Facebook or LinkedIn or again, all sorts of different types of authentication. So those are linked to the contact record so that, the next time they log in with those same credentials, it knows which contact to use. And then there's an entire kind of custom permissions model with it as well. So it doesn't use the Dataverse security model, although that is changing a bit. They're trying to merge the two a little bit, but historically there's a completely separate data model or a permissions model called web roles and table permissions. So you
Mhm.
associate the contact with web roles, and then you create the table permissions. And so for those people familiar with Dataverse, the traditional Dataverse security is based on security roles and business units and who owns the records. Whereas with Power Pages, it's not about who owns the records. It's how is the person who's logged in associated to those records. So you again, imagine the kind of customer self-service help desk scenario. When you log in, um, you can set up the permissions so that you can see all of the cases that the user is or that contact is related to, or maybe all the cases that the, the user's parent account is related to. So it's all about real relationships in Dataverse and not about um, security roles and not about record ownership. It's about those relationships.
And okay, that's more Dataverse question, but it works also. You say he can upload files, so in platform, so it's works also with unstructured data or semi-structured data.
Yeah, the files are there's a table in Dataverse called web files when you install Power Pages, so they're uploaded as files to that table in Dataverse and then exposed to the web via that way. Uh, the Power Pages does have a, I'd say, a very kind of basic content management system, so you can, create the pages and create the content and add, add text, add images, upload PDFs, link to those, all sorts of things. So it does have a kind of a basic content management system, but definitely want to warn people if they're looking to replace an enterprise content management system, Power Pages is not the solution. We do get people thinking that, oh, it's Microsoft's, content management system. It's really much more about the data than the content. So if you're looking for a true content management system, Power Pages doesn't really do things like, versioning or rollback or any of the things you'd expect from a real content management system.
And how I start building, it's like, I have my connected my Dataverse, and then I have an editor, or how does it work
Yeah,
to start?
yep. So there's a kind of a special maker portal. So if you go to make.powerpages.microsoft.com, what you can do is you install Power Pages into a Dataverse environment. That installs a number of solutions and a bunch of data that go into that environment. And then you get the what's called the Power Pages Studio, which is the primary editor for creating content, creating lists and forms. So for the listeners who are familiar with model-driven apps or Dynamics 365 customer service CRM types apps. The key or the kind of the core foundational feature of Power Pages is that you can take the views that you've created in a model driven app, or you can create the forms that you've created in a model driven app and expose those on Power Pages. So what you're doing is you create those views, you create those forms, and then you can expose those on Power Pages. So as you create a web page and then you say, "Hey, I want to add a list here," or "I want to add a form here," and then that's talking directly to the data that's in Dataverse.
Great. And what are the typical use cases for companies to start with a Power Page?
Yeah, so other than the one we've talked about in terms of the, kinda help desk creating cases, another big one would be, like a partner, portal. So you have an organization that, maybe they're a kind of a large, yeah, a manufacturer, and they've got um, um all these different retailers or people selling their stuff, and they need to log in, and they need to, you know, maybe they need to create their orders, or maybe they need to, manage their returns, those types of things. That's a very common use case. The other big one we see, and we see a lot of this honestly in the nonprofit sector, would be just kind of a member portal. So people are logging into they can sign up for their membership, they can renew their membership, and then kind of access, their membership benefits. So whether it's kind of accessing their, their license card, or maybe there's a community forum that all the members participate in. But a lot of membership-based organizations use it because they're using Dynamics, or they're using Dataverse as where they store all their member information, and so this lets their members log in and update their profile and do that sort of thing.
Yeah. And yeah, there are some, I don't know, mistakes companies or people starting with Power Page. You say, okay, that does all the companies wrong, or the people.
Yeah, I mentioned it previously. One is that thinking it's a kind of a platform for building websites. I wouldn't call them websites. It's really about those portals that talk to Dataverse. Um, I would say, you know, my business does focus on Power Pages, and so we end up doing a lot of projects where partners, um, may not have the experience in Power Pages, and what's kind of, again, because we're dealing with external users, it's very different than many things in the Power Platform, where primarily you're dealing with internal users. So there's different things that you need to consider. There's a design element that doesn't really exist anywhere else in the Power Platform. So we do end up being brought in by a lot of partners to kind of supplement their knowledge, because a lot of their existing Power Platform consultants wouldn't necessarily have the more traditional web development skills that Power Pages requires, that aren't really needed in many other places in the Power Platform. So if you're a partner taking on your first Power Pages project, just make sure you know what you're getting into because it is very different than the other pieces of the Power Platform.
And how can companies, I don't know, communicate or work with the people in the platform? There, I think, okay, they're external users, so there's no teams or something.
Yeah. So a lot of that communication does happen via kind of messages back and forth in Dataverse. So the ability to kind of have that, asynchronous communication. If you think of a help desk ticket, you can post a comment and so you have those kind of comments back and forth between those people. That would be the most traditional way for people to communicate via Power Pages.
And it's also, I think, Microsoft has for everything a Copilot. They have also a Copilot for that that helps me, or is it one product without a
Well,
Copilot?
yeah, what do you think? Of course they do. They actually have copilots for, the people making Power Pages, so they have, a number of, the Copilot to help you build one, and then, of course, on the front end, you can actually expose Copilot to the users of the portal, and so that's a big use case these days is if you're building a Copilot and you want people outside your organization to be able to use it, Power Pages is kind of the way that Microsoft is kind of pushing people to expose their copilots to external users. So that is definitely a use case that is getting a lot of traction from the world and something that Microsoft is really pushing these days is using Power Pages as that external as that window for those external users to start using Copilot.
And yeah, I think when I build, I don't know, a portal, I have integrated the Copilot, and then I also can build, I don't know, interactive elements. I think also, I don't know. I often work with logistic companies,
Mhm,
so I
mhm.
think. So the people can then see it's sent out, it's I don't know, it's broken or something. What happened? And then they can go in this portal and interact. So then I think I have, I don't know, I use something like Azure, and the scan function, and say, okay, this is scammed, it is sent out, and then the people can see it, something like this, or
Yeah,
could
definitely. We do see, within logistics, um, this is a super common solution because often, the people participating in that whole kind of supply chain, often they may not be internal users, right? They may be contractors, they may be customers. So Power Pages is a great way to expose that. Dataverse is a great place to have that data. And when you're using, um, you know, some say Azure services that may gather that data. Maybe there's some IoT devices that are involved in the process. All of that data can kind of flow back into Dataverse, and then Power Pages is a natural choice to expose that data to the contractors or to the customers for sure.
that's awesome. And yeah, I have read a little bit in your CV and look at your site. So also you can use it for a learn management system. So I come from the education part. I worked for long years in the education part. Uh, so I'm really interesting. What does the EC LMS, what you have developed, do, and how does
Yes,
it work?
so we built EC Learn, which is a learning management system built right into the Power Platform. So it's built on Dataverse. It's the interface is either a model driven Power App or Power Pages. So we support both kind of internal users taking courses. We support external users using or taking courses. Our tool includes a course authoring tool, so you can build the courses right into Dataverse. You can also import courses that are kind of the popular formats, SCORM, Tin Can, XAPI, those types of formats you can import. And again, it's all about having those users take courses and then the data about, you know, did they take it? How long did they take it for? What was their mark? All that information is stored directly in Dataverse. So now, if you want to, automate reminders, you can use Power Automate. If you want to get your reporting, you can use Power BI. So all of the data, all that learning management system data is in Dataverse, and that just kind of opens up the whole Power Platform to your learning data. So, we built this after kind of seeing the need for we had one of our, kind of nonprofit membership organizations,
Mhm.
they had a need to train their volunteers essentially. And we said, "Okay, great, we'll just go find the learning management system that works with the Power Platform." And we were pretty shocked to find that there just wasn't like, there was just nothing else out there. So we decided to kind of build it ourselves and, yeah, here we are.
Cool. That's the best solutions, I think. Um, when I think, yeah, um, when the Power Page solution is live, who is normally the owner? Is it the IT or the business part? But who owns the Power Page?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's a bit of a it's a bit of a mix. Like, um, often it would be the business. Sometimes the communications or the marketing side is pretty involved because it's often external facing. They want to get it designed. There's emails going out to external customers. Um, I would say it's a mix between yeah. Sometimes it is primarily owned by the business. Sometimes it's primarily owned by IT. Um, you know, certainly we want, the business to be the driver of what the site needs to do, but sometimes, it's coming from the IT budget, so that's, they'll be important partners in it as well, but, yeah, I would say it's often a mix, and, if you don't figure that out up front, it can be you can sometimes have 2 people in the driver's seat, and, that's not always good, so you gotta make sure you're clarifying, "Okay, who's running the show here?"
And yeah, and how we can, I think, yeah, prevent from, I call it, I don't know if it's the right word, shadow portals from
Mhm.
popping up across the departments.
Yeah. Yeah, um, Power Pages, because it's part of the Power Platform, that a lot of organizations just kind of, they default to think, "Okay, this is the Microsoft solution." So often we're seeing Power Pages replacing those, like, "Oh, we spun up this website last year just to do this thing." So we can see Power Pages as the, um, you know, it the in addition to kind of the Dataverse connection, the big emphasis is on security, governance, all those types of things. So generally it's seen, in a pretty good light by the IT departments. So yeah, it is kind of often the go-to technology that the IT departments are saying, "Hey, we trust Microsoft. Everything else we're doing is Microsoft. Let's do that instead of something else."
Mm, yeah, nice. I think a little bit, yeah. Um, uh, how simple is it for to create a portal? Is it? I think uh, I have understand a Dataverse model,
Mhm.
so or 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 can I don't know, drag and drop, and I don't know, like the modern SharePoint pages, and here I drag and drop and I have all the department people inside and so on.
I mean, if you ask the Microsoft marketing folks, they'd say it's super easy. I would say that, um, again, it is a unique skill set. There are things that are very specific to Power Pages. Um, in general, if someone comes from a dynamic CRM, model-driven Power Apps world, that's going to be the most useful kind of background in addition to web development. So again, that's kind of what makes it unique is that you need that combination of dynamic CRM and kind of more traditional web development. Those are kind of the skill sets that you need. Um, the the editor is kind of a drag and drop type experience. Microsoft has put a lot of work into building this new editor. It doesn't do everything, that is possible with Power Pages. There's another interface. It is a model-driven app called the Power Pages Management app, where you can kind of do everything. So there's lots of different editors you can use to do things. There's definitely, I would say, a pretty steep learning curve to getting into it. Um, but I would say that the documentation has been, I would say in the last 5 years, is has been kind of gone from, a bit sad to kind of outstanding, so the documentation is there, lots of community content out there, um, but, yeah, I would say that a lot of people, expect it to be this kind of easy, no-code tool, and, in general, we find, hey, you're probably gonna need to do a little bit of, customization. So the reality is that um, you probably do need some technical skills to get in there and build the site that you're looking to build.
And is there, I think, yeah, I love this customization idea, and it's really, yeah, yeah, I think it's really cool. But sometimes I think, yeah, if I do too much customization, I got these fragile custom app style. I think in my last company I work, they built and power apps. So yeah, that was so much customization.
Mhm, mhm.
So what did you think? It's
Yeah, I would say that, I totally see what you're saying. I would say the reality is with Power Pages, most of them do end up to be pretty heavily customized to achieve the business needs. Again, just because you're dealing with that external audiences, um, organizations tend to be a lot pickier about what they expect their external audiences to see compared to internal. So if you're dealing with a module app, you say, okay, the staff can, doesn't need to be absolutely perfect, but when you're talking to customers, it's like, "No, this has gotta be exactly the way that we want it to be." So often that will involve some pretty significant, custom code to get it to be exactly what they want. So I would say a lot of organizations, if you look at a portal, 5 years after it was started, the first phase, you can get a lot done without writing code, but over the years, they say, "Oh, we really want this, and we really want this, and we really want this." Yeah.
actually, I think about the cost. You say it's a per user per month, and I have buy some packages, or are there other costs like for, I don't know, for compute or for storage, or it's really only for the users there are logged in?
It's really only for the users who are logged in or those anonymous users. That does include some, like, you do need Dataverse, you do need, the Power Apps, or, like, yeah, you need the Dataverse environment, but those licenses do include some Dataverse storage. So, um so, because those entitlements do come in. So I wouldn't say that there's kind of really any additional, um, licensing costs that really does cover it. There's no compute. Those licensing costs, cover essentially the Power Pages site runs on an Azure, web app, and those licensing costs are included as part of those licensed users. And then the more users you buy, the bigger server you get essentially. So what we find, because Microsoft does not do technical enforcement of those licenses. So let's say you buy 200 users, the 201st user who logs into the site will be able to log in the site. There won't be a message, there won't be, like, the user will be able to log in. Um, but if you buy 200 and you have 10,000 people using the site, the biggest problem is gonna be that it's gonna be very slow because Microsoft is giving you a server for 200 users and not a server for 10,000 users. So you're gonna see huge performance things. Now, to be clear, the technical enforcement, they're watching, and so, if 1 month you go f and you buy 200 and you get 250, you're probably not gonna hear from them. But if you buy 200 and every month you're at 1,000, you're gonna get an email from Microsoft saying, "Hey, you need to bump this up." But at
Yeah,
no point will a user be, like, not able to log in because of the licensing.
yeah. But I only have also, I think, this yeah, governance job to look, okay, this guy is outdated, he's not no longer in the company, or this account, it's not. Then I clean it up. I think I have, that's the, yeah, the not the normal job. So that's a little bit okay. That, but there's no tool like Entra ID or something I can automate it with, or can I say, okay, this guy was 6 months not in the platform, send him an email, and then when you don't come back, delete the account, or how is
Yeah,
it work?
And so with Power Pager, when it comes to licensing, they wouldn't count because if they don't actually log in as in a month, they won't count towards that month. So we deal with, say, membership organizations that are on some sort of, say, renewal cycle. So maybe their users are only logging in once a year. They're only going to count in the month where they log in. So you could certainly create some Power Automate flows that clean up old accounts, but from a licensing perspective, if they don't log in that month, then they don't count that month, so there's no need to do that from a licensing perspective.
And then I have a wonderful portal. So what did you think? Is it what's harder? It's build a portal or yeah, I think keep it relevant.
I would say probably building, like, I think a lot of organization, once the portal gets up there, they can be pretty stable for a long time. Like, we have customers that have been, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 years on their portal, and so once you build it, it can be a pretty solid platform because Microsoft is the one handling all the kind of, the security updates and kind of the underneath the hood. For sure, in those situations, the portal, you know, the look and feel of it can get a little bit dated, but in terms of functionality, it's going to be there. Um, the product was so just to give a little bit of history on the product. So there was a company called ADX Studio from here in Canada that originally built a tool called ADX Studio Portals, and Microsoft bought them in 2015, and that's where Power Pages came from. Um, now, uh, since that time, so when Microsoft kinda took over in 2015, there's really only been kind of 2 major upgrades that have needed to occur, and you could do them at the same time, and so that was an upgrade to Bootstrap, which was kind of the foundational UI framework, and then there was a significant change. There's what's called the standard data model, now there's an enhanced data model. So, again, if you started with Power Pages back in 2016, 2017, over the last 10 years or so, there were really only those 2 major upgrades that you needed to do, and again, you could kinda do them at the same time, and even at this point, like, those are still both relatively new. A lot of organizations haven't even done those yet, so you could be 7, 8, 9, 10 years into this platform and not need any significant upgrades to what you've built. So I would say, yeah, it's pretty stable from that standpoint.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Um, then, yeah, I know you're a MVP, so you cannot, uh, but I try. It's a question. Is there anything where you say, okay, Microsoft, here is something you should fix tomorrow on Power Pages?
Oh, yeah, there's lots, and I'm not shy about sharing kind of what it is I think they need to improve. I would say, like, right now, with this whole kind of AI revolution, everyone's talking about vibe coding and using AI to create the code and just kind of putting it on a Pages site. There's new features within Power Pages where you can use vibe coding or other coding tools to essentially build what's called a single page application, so a completely code-based application, and you can host it on Power Pages. Um, the thing is that Power Pages is not cheap. So if you're gonna write a bunch of custom code and then host it with Power Pages, um, the alternative to that would be to just host it in Azure yourself, which is going to be cheaper. Microsoft is using Azure services to host your website. They're charging you more than the underlying services are worth. I mean, that's the reality is that they are upcharging on those things because they got to pay for the development of the products. So if you're going to be hosting your site using Power Pages, but you built it all custom, I think there are reasons to do that, but I think Microsoft will have to look at the licensing. Licensing has again traditionally been a challenge with Power Pages. The licensing we have now, which is monthly active users, used to essentially be instead of paying for the cost rate now that is for a month, it used to be for a day. So at one point they switched from daily to monthly and didn't change the price, which was amazing, right? Like you're going from if someone logs in 3 or 4 times in a month, you've cut your costs, by a third, a quarter, that sort of thing. So they've really adjusted that. But in this new kind of AI world where perhaps the custom code is building the site for you, I think they're going to have to kind of look at that. Um, but beyond that, I think the big thing these days is just making it a little bit more modern. A lot of the experiences are still from ADX Studio 10, 12 years ago. So while it is functional, Where I hope to see some improvements would be just making the site feel a little bit more modern and not feel as dated as it can sometimes feel.
Mm. Awesome. That's really cool. Really cool insight. So I have yeah, so three hot takes. So yeah, Power Pages is just SharePoint external sharing with better branding. Agree or disagree?
Um, Yeah, I think some people wish sometimes Power Pages was a little bit more like SharePoint because if you're using it for things like document management, that there really is nothing for document collaboration like there is in SharePoint. So, if you look at the documentation, it'll say, yes, there's an integration between Power Pages and SharePoint, and people expect that to be all of the capabilities of SharePoint, and it really isn't. It's like you can download the files, you can upload to SharePoint, but all that collaboration stuff does not exist in Power Pages. So people can be disappointed. So I would say, as someone who comes from a CRM background, we can be a little bit, um, a little bit snooty about, hey, your data should be in Dataverse, not in SharePoint. So obviously, Power Pages is the way to expose that data that's in Dataverse. I do believe that the data is better off in Dataverse, so you could do that. Um, and yeah, I would say you could probably do a little bit better of a branding job. So yeah, it's probably true, but um, yeah, there's some great capabilities of SharePoint that Power Pages can't touch. And again, around that kind of document collaboration stuff is really where SharePoint shines.
Okay. And then the next one, if you need complex logic, you should be using Power Pages, true or failed.
The thing as a pro developer background, the thing I love about Power Pages is that it does, there's kind of this no cliffs. So, you can do lots of low code, no code stuff, but you can write complete custom stuff. So, yeah, there's very little that you can't do with Power Pages. So yeah, if you have custom requirements, complex requirements, Power Pages is very capable of supporting those types of things for sure.
Okay, and then the last one, it's the most Power Page projects fail of beep.
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I would say what we see because again, we do get brought in quite a few times when the project isn't going well and they because of all the content we produce, they say, "Oh, these guys know Power Pages. Let's bring them in." Um, I would say most project Power Pages projects fail um, when the expectations or what was understood from kind of reading the documentation or reading the marketing material, wasn't kind of validated or wasn't kind of completely understood, and so that there were certain, expectations set that just couldn't be met. I would say also when someone comes in and if they start from if they start from Figma, if they start from getting a designer to design the site without looking at how the tools are, um, support those types of things. There's just so many ways to accomplish the same business requirement. And if you have someone who doesn't know Power Pages design something, and then hand it off to the Power Pages team, they'll look at it and say, well, the only way to accomplish this is with custom code. And so if your entire site ends up being custom code, that may not be the best fit for Power Pages. So any project that starts with a user experience designer that doesn't know Power Pages and then hands it off to be built, um, you're probably gonna end up spending a lot more on custom code than was intended.
Really, yeah, well, that's what I think we have a lot of compressed knowledge in here. Um, so then, yeah, when the people interesting in get help or build with you a Power Page, how can they contact you or get in touch?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can, happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. We've got our site, engineeredcode.com. On there, you can find links to our YouTube channel where we do a weekly tip. We do a blog on there as well. I also do a monthly community call. So that's just a 1 hour session where we go through the latest Power Pages news. And we also kind of pick one particular topic to deep dive. So kind of like if you go to a conference, do one of those types of sessions. I do one of those every month, completely free of charge. And if they're looking for something a little bit extra in terms of training, we do have a paid training course that has a bunch of content you can kind of go through the course, as well as kind of monthly office hours with myself if you have any questions. So yeah, if you're looking to get into Power Pages, I would say, yeah, check out all of our community content. I hope it's a help.
Yeah, I think also the people find all the links in your speaker profile
Hmm.
on M65 FM. And so, yeah, I think the last words for you to the people.
Yeah, I would
Mm.
say, Power Pages, the use is just it's skyrocketing. It's a thing that you know, I really think that every implementation of Dataverse could probably benefit from a Power Pages site. What organization doesn't have external people that they're working with? But I would also warn people, Power Pages is not the best thing in every situation. So just because it's the tool from Microsoft, make sure you're understanding what it is you're trying to do. Because sometimes there are other tools, there are other options. So consider Power Pages, but make sure you consider all your options as well.
Yeah, then I say thank you for staying here. And yeah, have a great day. And yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.